What's going on, you guys? AJ Turkey Hoop with AJ Self Defense. Wanted to do a part two. A few months ago, I made a video. It was called "Making a Safe Place for Furries versus Setting Boundaries." And I didn't expect all the feedback I would get, but I got a lot of good feedback, and I appreciate you guys for keeping it respective. I got a lot of feedback from both sides. You know, some people are totally against it. And actually had a few people who do identify as furries. They did hop on it. Oh my goodness. I apologize for the red shirt and then like the red background, man. But it's just the shirt that I have on today, man. So we're just gonna power through this. So a couple of things that I do want to talk about. I'm gonna read some of the top comments. But first, I do want to talk about a situation because I did talk about making a safe place versus setting boundaries. And like a week ago or so, there was a story of a teacher. I believe it was a substitute teacher. She was fired because of her interaction with a furry, or maybe it was a thespian or theron. I'm sorry, not a thespian, but a theron. I'm not really sure exactly. I've been doing my research, and you guys have helped me on the comments, but I haven't gotten down 100%. But let me get into the story. I'm gonna post a link in the video in the description below. I'm not gonna run the video because I don't want to go in too long, but it's very easy to find that video. So a substitute teacher, she was basically on TikTok talking about how she was doing a roll call, and when she got to a certain row, somebody meowed at her, and she was like, what the hell's going on? And so she continued to do her roll call, and somebody meowed again, and one of the students looked at her and said, hey, you have to meow back. And she was like, she basically said, hell no, I'm not doing that. And then the kid got mad and started to storm out of class. And as the kid was storming out of class, she was like, woof, like she kind of barked like a dog, and the class burst out laughing. And at the end of the day, when she was going to the principal, whoever was in charge, was like, we no longer need your services. So basically, hey, we're not going to hire you here anymore because of the way of that interaction that you had with that kid. So just to backtrack, if you just hopping on the video, you didn't see the first one. I'm talking about furries. And a few months ago, my kids came home and they basically said that people are barking and meowing at school. And so, I talked about it. You can check out the first video, but basically about setting boundaries. But when does it end? How many boundaries do we need to set? But also, I had people come on and say, hey, I'm a furry, and, we're not that bad. We don't put people on leashes. It's just a small percentage of the community, but we're getting a lot of hate. But the fact that the teacher got thrown out of class because she was put into that situation is hard. On the flip side, it seems that the school is trying to make a safe place for some of these kids. But the teacher, she just thought it was utterly ridiculous. Now, the way they made the story sound, they made it sound like, hey, she wouldn't meow back. That's why they fired her. I think that's part of the reason. But when I, look a little deeper into the story, the teacher, did like bark like a dog at the student, and ain't no telling what the student was going through. Ain't no telling how much counseling that student was going, and how, and sometimes, especially these days, man, some of these teenagers are like this close to the brink. They're this close to the brink. And if they get one more push, then all of a sudden it just all goes away. And you dealing. And here's the thing. On the flip side, there's people that's like, no, man, these kids just need to toughen up. There should be a limit and this and that. And it's just very hard to navigate that. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel you on both sides. I feel the side is like, looking back 20 and 30 years ago, it's just like, dude, we need to focus on discipline. Our society is pretty much breaking down because we're just allowing everything. But then on the flip side, hey, these are the times. And some of these kids are mentally on the brink. They're just like right there. And you may not know what I'm talking about, but if you're a parent and you're in that situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna read some of these top comments. I was gonna post it up. If I have time, I will do it. But if not, hey, you can just you're pretty smart in this. So 2 months ago, when I first posted a video, Lisa George was like, this is happening at my kid's school too. So basically I was talking about how kids were meowing and barking. You walk by, they bark at you or they meow at you. They make different animal sounds at you, and when it started, some of the like just the regular students were like, "Man, what the hell's going on?" And then they have to learn about it in that way. But she said this really impacted my son. There was a girl wearing a collar and getting pulled on a leash. He said it was the weirdest thing, and he didn't know what to do about it. He didn't know what to do about it. It was so weird. And so, you know, a couple of people comment on that. And I was talking about making a safe place. And then Jolly Rancher chick, shout out to her. She made a shout out. She made a comment yesterday, basically saying, rather than a safe space, maybe we should try investigating the cause behind it. We do not entertain every whim of a child for a multitude of reasons. And that's true, you know, man, like just entertaining every whim of a child, because the kid will think of some stuff and they'll be all over the place. And here's the thing, I'm going to read some on the flip side of it too. All right. So just be patient with me. Bullying is never okay, but when did children attending school wearing animal collar, being led around on a leash, and using a litter box become acceptable? Now, the litter box thing, I've never heard of that. I'm just reading this comment, right? I've never heard, I do not have that confirmed of people actually using litter box, except a small percentage or extreme situation. But I don't think that's going on in schools. There are children who's been exposed to sex at a very early age, or maybe even have sexual desires. Should we create safe spaces for them to be sexually active? And then she goes on, like, I'm not going to read the whole post, but it just kind of gives you an idea on one side. Let's see. Nick was a little stronger with his. He was like, do we accept every stupid ass thing as protected speech that deserves to be not only just tolerated, but given a safe space and allowed to wear whatever ridiculous costumes, dog collars? Where does it end? And, you know, when he says the word protected speech, it kind of branches out into other things as well. So he's probably has some other things on his mind. And, you know, like, yeah, like sometimes it can definitely get distracting. It can definitely get distracting. And then Ashley D, she made a good point. She said, when I was in school, we couldn't even have our hair colored an unnatural color. And so that nips a lot of that stuff in the bud. It's like, dude, nobody ain't doing nothing. You can't even wear your hair an unnatural color. That stops a lot of that stuff. The whole point was not to be distracting for other kids learning. I think it should still be this way. Imagine trying to understand your math problem while some kid is behind you meowing. No thanks. And that's basically what happened to my kiddos at school. They haven't said anything here of late, so I don't think it's been happening as often, or maybe it kind of died down. But it is something that's still going on. And then somebody put, thank you. It's good to hear that people with common sense left out there. You're awesome. Appreciate that, Robert. Let's see here. I'm trying to see some on the flip side. Let's see here. A lot of people on the other side, a lot of adults hopping on and saying, hey, this should not be allowed. I don't like this. Let's see here. And then Dead Asylum, he corrected me. He said, people can't wear their suits at school. Also barking and howling, that's called a therin or a therian. Let's see here. And somebody put, pretty strong comment, bro, there's a time kids need public shaming. This is one of those times. I don't completely agree with that, to where they should get public shaming, because like I was saying earlier, man, some of these kids are right on the brink, you know. And you go back 20 years, like, well, got to go back longer than 20 years. When I was in high school, we didn't have access to just so much information. And so that's a game changer as well. Hold on, let me go down. All right, so this one, I'm not going to put his name out there, but this was a big one, and I was like, ooh, wee. So he puts, okay, listen, I'm a furry, and I'm in a community, and all are people creating their own characters like cosplay. It's just a hobby. There's a very small part of the community that actually thinks they are animals. So basically what he's saying, yes, there are furries, there's doing that, but it's just a small percentage that's making us all look bad. In my opinion, the school is making the fandom look extremely bad, and they are shaming the whole community because of literally 1% of them actually act like animals. And note that set of people actually think they are furries and look down on, are hated by most. Let's see. People hate the community even more just because a small group in the community acts like that. And so I'm glad he put that post, because it gave me a different perspective. Somebody who's actually living it and going through it and suffering the consequences of the small extreme group. And very articulate. And I was like, man, hold on now. This is an adult, but I'm pretty sure it was a kid. And so I go on to say, hey, I appreciate your comment. And I basically, man, can you hear my cat in the background? Like, I've been chilling all day, hadn't said anything to me, but now he wants to hop in. So anyway, I was like, thanks for the comment. Hopefully things is calming down for you. Hold on. I got to get that. Just a minute. I opened the door for that fool. Oh, now he comes in. I was all right, she ain't going to come in. She came in. At first, she acted like she wasn't going to come in. Okay, where was I? And my litter box is in the bedroom. And if I don't open the door, then there might be some trouble waiting outside after I'm done with the video. So I had to stop. So appreciate that. Your patience over here. So let me get back on track. So I was basically saying, hey, hopefully things have calmed down for you at the school. And so this is what kind of like made me feel bad for him. Hold on, where is it at? Okay, I said, I hope things kind of calm down for you. And this is why I'm not going to name his name. He basically put, haha, I wish. My dad saw a video like the furry school thing and now is automatically following the group of people that hate them. So I'm really nervous and stuff and all at the moment. And so very articulate post at first, but when he started to talk about his home situation, you can kind of tell he was a kid. And I'm like, ooh, man, this is tough because his dad is basically in a hate group online and he is actually living under that roof. And so that's pretty tough right there, man. So just been, I've been thinking about that for the last couple of weeks and hopefully things are going okay for him. Let's see here. So I'm not going to go through many more comments, man, but it was a lot of discussion on the channel. So basically there are a lot of people thinking about this. Let me see if I can find some more. There's a bunch more. Oh, yeah, maybe if I click. Now I'm not gonna worry about it. So there was definitely a bunch of back and forth, a bunch of comments on both sides. Some people kind of down the middle like me. I'm trying to see both sides of it. Definitely want environment for my kiddos to where they're not being distracted by this kind of stuff. But at the same time, like I said, some of these kids are on the brink, man, trying to identify themselves. And it's not as simple as saying like, hey, why don't we do things back in the day? Because, you know, growing up in the social media age, some of these kids, man, if you're like, shoot, social media came out, Facebook, Instagram, you know, 2008, 2009. So some of these kids have been raised on social media, Instagram, their entire lives. They don't know anything. Like when I was a kid, there wasn't even the internet, right? So we had access to the kids at our school, some information, we played sports, we went to school, and that was it. But now these kids have access to all the information ever in the world, right? And they're growing up on social media. They're able to communicate back and forth with kids at other schools. They're able to look up anything that they hear about, they're able to look it up and they're able to pursue. And so identity, like self-identity and all that stuff is a bigger deal, in my opinion, than it was in the past. I may be totally wrong and I may not be articulating myself the right way, but I feel like it's a bigger deal now than it was when we were younger. It's more prevalent. And so, yeah, man, I just wanted to keep the conversation going. Very important topic because parents are dealing with it. Kids are dealing with it. Kids who are in that community and then kids who are not in that community. And then the parents who may have kids in that community, but also parents who may have kids that are not in the community, but they don't want their kid to be distracted. It's just so many things going back and forth. And why do I talk about this on the self-defense channel? Because for me, yes, you know, I do train martial arts. I do like to hit the mats. I do like to grapple, but I know not everybody is going to be on the mats. Not everybody's going to spar, just a small percentage. Most of the stuff people have to defend against is more social. It's like before things get physical. It's a lot of mental stuff going on. There's a lot of things that we have to address. And so since I've been in the schools, you know, doing the self-defense, teaching that physical aspect, I just hear so many stories. There's so much stuff going on in school. Like somebody could be training all the time, like, all right, I'm ready for whatever. You know, I train all the time. I get on the mats. I'm a wrestler. I play sports. I'm a football player. I'm very physical. And then all of a sudden, other things are happening around them that they don't even know how to deal with from a social standpoint. And so it's up to the community around them to step in and help them out, or it's up to them to be able to deal with that stuff from a mental standpoint. And so that's why I like to talk about these topics, and seeing all the comments from you guys is definitely something that's prevalent and something that's on your mind. So anyway, talked about a lot. I ran a little long today, man, but check it out, man. If you still got more to add on it, let me know. What do you think about that teacher being being fired because she wouldn't meow back at a student at school? But on the flip side, you know, she was kind of being a little flippant about it, so that they were probably trying to protect the student. All sorts of stuff going on. But anyway, that's all I got, man. I will see you on the next one.